Fire off an invite to Bobby here, and then we will be off to the races. Just one sec. Okay. Sent. Okay, what I have to do right now is I have to update my I have to do my the chat. There's the chat. My FanDuel lineups, and then I'll be ready to talk to you guys in a sec. And there'll probably be changes in all of this once more news comes in. But for now, let me just do this. Just saw my early builds up there, but I'm going to see what I get after I do this. Now, the new news that came in that I'm going to have to process is Mitchell Robinson being out. And I imagine that that's going to have some kind of impact. I have to see exactly how much in a few minutes. For now, just gonna, what is this here? Yeah, 100 of that. I'm gonna change my FanDuels. Then I will be ready for you. And again, just in case I get like locked into some conversations and I forget to do it, at least I will have at least put something in that represents at least my takes as of right now. Let's put these guys in here. We're going to diversify a little bit. We're not going to put the same lineup in all of the bigger buy-ins. And we're going to do this. And we are good. Okay. Where is Mr. Firestone? So does Mitchell out leave Taj in play? So I would have to think so, right? I'll let Bobby give an initial comment on that. Bobby, you can walk right into this question.
Okay.
Does Mitchell Robinson being out put Taj in play?
It slightly does. I think Noel is in play. Little revenge game for Noel. Good matchup against Drummond. I think that's where I would probably side with. I was originally thinking it would be Toppin if they were both out, that he would be a possible guy I would want to use more than Gibson because I think he has a higher ceiling limit. I'm sorry to be late. The reason I'm late actually is because I just told DraftKings to unregister me from every tournament because I can't edit my lineups, and sometimes that takes 5 minutes, sometimes it takes 10 seconds, sometimes it takes 30 minutes. So I just can't risk it. We'll
focus on FanDuel then.
Well, I'll talk through DraftKings. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up of where I'm at because I've gone through all my DraftKings. I was building lineups and trying to figure out how to but I just can't edit them, so it doesn't. It's too big a risk. So
and this has been going on like at least a year, right? At this point.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's definitely been times where it's been fine, but for right now, like this is just not acceptable. And I've gone back and forth with them for the past 2 days. In all fairness, they did compensate me some for different losses over the past.
And you've had different computers during all this time, right?
4 different computers, different houses, different internet wired in, Wi-Fi, all my other sites. That's what I send them the videos of. I show them of me on all my other sites, and everything works instantly. And it's just DraftKings. It's really frustrating. But anyway, I'm not feeling so bad about not being able to play tonight. No big deal. I mean, I can sit one out. But it's really just I just hope that they actually do unregister me because I'm not even able to unregister right now.
That's amazing.
So it's pretty frustrating. Anyway, but I'm happy to talk DraftKings and FanDuel because I will talk. I am playing on FanDuel, but I did do all my initial builds for DraftKings anyway, and I was able to get those in this morning after about an hour of trying to get them entered. And it's a waste of time. But anyway, but I do feel like I have a pretty good handle on DraftKings, so I'm happy to talk about that. So make sure to just specify your questions. I will be personally focused only on FanDuel, but I'm happy and I'm ready to answer any DraftKings or talk about anything DraftKings related. I was really hoping they were both going to be out because it would have given you an interesting pivot to an interesting play with Toppin. It would have opened up even extra value, and I could have made my my really sweet Devin Booker play that I'm still kind of into tonight. I mean, if I had a hot take for tonight, it's that Devin Booker scores 40 real life points tonight. I want to be better about not just calling something out and then not playing enough of it. So if I was playing over there on DK, I was planning on having him in my main lineup, and I had him in 40% of my lineups overall, as I posted on our site earlier today. Just wanted to throw that stuff out there. Anyway, let's talk. Why don't you talk about what you're doing on DraftKings? Then we'll switch it over to some FanDuel if you want to.
No, I'm going to tell you what I want to do first.
Okay, whatever you do.
Let me just find it. What I want to do first, I want to, for those of you that didn't watch the earlier video, we're working on an optimizer that my brother-in-law Evan has done just a remarkable job coding. I mean, I didn't think it was possible to do it, and he's able to do it, and you're seeing it right now. What it did is it loaded, my projections into here, but you can load any of your own. And look at this. It's missing some teams here. That's interesting. And it will generate whatchamacallit. It will generate, if it works, an optimal lineup given various restraints. And it will allow you to lock players in. It will allow you to exclude players or whatever it is. And boom, there it is. If you care, this would be the optimal lineup based on my projections as of like 10 minutes ago. And he's working on getting just on principle. I'm going to put a lineup in with that. But this will be the Evan lineup. But we're continuing to work on this, and at some point, like actually pretty soon, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the links to this optimizer. It's like it's even off site right now. I want to get a couple of you guys in there to bang around a little bit with it. Just to like try to make it break, try to like see where it screws up and see whatever. But it looks pretty tight. And we're gonna make it a little more exportable and things like that. Like right now already, like here, like you guys wanted this already will let you download from here in one file, like all the numbers that you'll need, So it's a really big development actually in what we're doing here. So that's the first thing. So second thing is, what am I doing today? So I do have on DraftKings 100% of Andre Drummond. I also have 75% of Frank Kaminsky. I found it difficult to so I guess that probably puts me, ahead of the field on Drummond, but not really, right?
Yeah, and people are joking out there. Oh, look, he's only projected to be 70% on. He's going to be 90% on.
Yeah.
In the buy-ins where people
right. Yeah. And I guess it and the Kaminsky ownership probably seems about 70 would be around what he would be, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe he could be a little less. My plan was to fade Drummond in my big lineup today. I was going to make a bold stand. Okay. I don't think it's necessarily the optimal thing, and it's not like there's an immediate pivot or something that works. But if Drummond goes out and puts up 35 fantasy points, which is totally a great score for a great number for a guy 5,500, Steven Adams could put up 30 fantasy points at 4,500.
Sure.
There's other things you can do. Drummond's projection, while I'm not saying he won't hit this, I just think his median projection should be around 37 or so today, and he's being projected for around 47. And I just think that's wrong. I just don't think that it's interesting to think about. Like, he's projected to score more fantasy points than Joel Embiid was. And while that might very well happen, I don't think that's the most common result. I just don't. I even give him a little boost because you could take Mitch Rob out of there. That makes them even a little softer up front. But I just think the Knicks are the team that's good at defending the paint in general. I said it last time when Embiid played against them, and of course I totally backed off of it because I was looking at Embiid's usage numbers, which were out of this world, and I ended up playing him that night, and Embiid put up 24 fantasy points against this team. If Drummond puts up 25 fantasy points, you're not winning it, and other people actually do fade him. You still could win a tournament because people might just not fade him at all. But I'm saying that I think if there's merit, there's merit to playing Drummond 70% or 60%. Probably not in the for the most part, higher buy-in, smaller field. But I do think there's some viability to it, more so than anyone else seems to. Now, I still want to make it clear that I think Drummond will have a good night tonight. This is really where the whole slate is, obviously, so it kind of matters. I also think there's a path for Kaminsky I think there's a path that neither Kaminsky or McGee play above 20 minutes. Not to say that it's most likely, but does it happen enough of the time here? I think so. And even if Kaminsky plays, we've seen Kaminsky play. We've seen him put up 30 fantasy points in 10 minutes. We've seen him put up 10 fantasy points in 30 minutes. It's not some sort of lock. Remember, he was playing with Charlotte the kind of minutes that he's probably going to get tonight before, and he was no lock for 20 fantasy points in those games. Now, it's a great matchup, all these things, but I don't think these are locks. That's just my take. I am playing them in my big lineup on FanDuel currently, where I feel like they're more necessary than they are on DraftKings. But I don't think you need to. I think there are other routes. That's where I'm at. Maybe you guys can tell me I'm crazy. I'm okay with it. I can deal with it. I'm just saying that's my personal take. The only thing that Embiid he has going for him, they're going to run it. They'll try and turn him into like Embiid basically because they'll run a lot of offense. But between Shake Milton, Korkmaz, and Milton being able to play minutes, Korkmaz and Maxey, there's enough other offensive firepower that even if Drummond gets a double-double, and like I said, gets you 35, which is a great score for a 5,500 guy. If Steven Adams puts up 35, Steven Adams could outscore Drummond. They could put up a similar number. I don't love Steven Adams. I'm just saying you got to try and think to get a little different if you think there's any viability in the guy failing. And I think there is enough of a chance for people to make some fades. At the same time, I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me feel a little bit better to withdraw my entries because I don't feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. It's a slate where I was more like, okay, I was thinking, okay, I don't have this. My strong take is if I'm going to play a guy like Booker, though, why wouldn't I then go ahead and play the chalk that I actually think is good chalk for the most part? You know what I'm? So that's what I was sort of battling with back and forth in my head all day. And now I am just not playing on DraftKings, and I'm still waiting for the confirmation. I sent a text to my VIP host. I sent an email to the DraftKings support because to the VIP host. They asked me specifically that I wanted to withdraw yesterday before football. I said no because I was able to get my lineups just barely in, but I hope they get it out of there. All right, so you can answer the will it incorporate ownership, the Michael Garcelle thing question. Do you want to answer that?
Hold on just one second. Poole, Westbrook, Korkmaz, Adams. Poole, Westbrook. Oh, he's over there. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's asking.
One second. Okay, so what's the question?
I guess if the optimizer will incorporate, is it incorporating ownership?
It is not.
Okay.
It is definitely not.
Yeah, it's optimizing. So that's
it is just creating at this level just an optimal lineup that probably is good in cash.
Right.
And
it's step one for us, guys. We're gonna, we can keep going. Evan did this a lot faster than we thought he would. We also, you can still take Sheets' projections and do what Sheets does and go use them on Fantasy Cruncher, on Roto Grinders, on any of them. And Sheets is one with using them on other sites too. So you can still do all that stuff. It's just we're just trying to add this as our own thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a few questions. I see a question that says, that was a Taj Gibson question. I must have gotten in just too late for that, but must have been about him. Thoughts on Brunson tonight? I really don't like Brunson tonight. I think that would be a bad play. I think there's enough other guys. Like, how often is Brunson going to outscore between Milton, Barton, what's the name? The other Maxey, with Porzingis back? That really does kill a lot of Brunson. Remember, the reason we've been playing Brunson was because he was too cheap. Because when Porzingis is there, his usage goes down, and It's just a factor. I think he's like, look, if you want to take a shot on him, go ahead. I'm not going to say I did say it's a bad play. Bad might be a strong word, but you really want that guy at 5,600 on DraftKings. You want 35 fantasy points from that guy tonight. And I don't think his path is that easy with Porzingis back, and his minutes should be down. We've been seeing him play 30 minutes, 36, 34. He's projected to play around 25 minutes tonight. And I think that's not necessarily 100% accurate, but it's the best guess, and I actually agree with it. So that's my thoughts on that one.
Just to see how I am going to run a new set with Mitchell Robinson out. I just want to see how like Noel, for example, compares to like JaVale McGee or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Noel is against his former team. I guess that's something.
Yeah.
What other while I'm doing that, what other questions do we have?
I'll take a quick look. Let's see.
I'll go over my FanDuel bill.
Drummond, look, I'm not saying this is an optimal fade, guys. I'm talking about this is a way you could sometimes win tournaments. And tonight, I see enough of an angle of why you could have justified not doing it. Now, I would have Drummond in any single entry tournament. I would have Drummond in basically any tournament that's not the lottery tournament, except for if you want to try and take a shot in one big one, which I was going to do with the 555, because I thought that one fade alone could be enough. But I also like Booker, so I was going back and forth on it anyway.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I think you're bringing up an important point that I struggle with. So you mentioned that that you wouldn't do it maybe in a single entry tournament. What if could I make the case that his ownership is going to be so off the charts in that type of tournament that maybe that is the tournament to fade him, or not, or no?
You could, and that's the way I treat. Golf is a good one because it's a sport that I've been doing really well at DFS golf, and I know it okay, but I don't know it like the way I know basketball, right, or the way I know football, or the way I know baseball. But in golf, I'll often, take those 1%, 0.5% owned guys in those situations. You know what I mean? But that's the guy playing against nothing. There's no rhyme or anything or reason to all of it. The thing with Drummond in the single entry, because we can go back and forth on this one. It's a really interesting point in general, because if he is going to be that high owned in that tournament, he's going to be high owned in everything. So maybe it would be different if he was going to be 90% in that and then 50% elsewhere. But he's going to be really high owned in everything. And in single entries, even if he does and puts up 25, you're still probably going to be okay.
Okay.
So that's the other side of it, why I wouldn't keep him out. And again, I'm not saying you should be going out there and play 100 lineups without Drummond. I'm saying if you're playing 20 lineups, maybe don't have him in 3 or 4 of them. Maybe for me, maybe it would have been 5 or 6. But I would be willing to be a little bit more. I'm not risk adverse.
I will say this. If you want, the case that I will make for fading Drummond is actually a very primitive one, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyway.
Sure.
So in his last game, okay, fair enough. He was really, really chalky because Embiid was out, and he came out and he played 32 minutes and he smashed. Fair enough. I mean, I just seem to remember, now again, there's reasons for this, that last season there were so many times where he looked like a smash play, and he didn't always get there, and especially those games. Now he had the toe, he had everything, whatever it was, but those games where he was on the Lakers, right? Like he was like the worst player in basketball for like a series of months. So I'm just saying that yes, he had a good game, his last one, but I just wouldn't be particularly surprised if he didn't have a good game this time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and you might get one of those games where he has 20 at halftime, gets 7 in the third quarter, but by then they're down by 30. That's possible too.
I think it's possible.
Yeah, so I'm just, I mean, when the reasons start to add up, and you have other value options that could get there. Now he's going to get there much more than Adams is in these situations for their price, but that is an interesting pivot, and you can't, if you're playing Adams and you're not playing Drummond, that's going to put you already in a different tier where you're already just going to be different.
Yeah, I think what you're going to want to do is instead of like playing the price pivot, I think that you're going to want to just go to a totally different price range.
Yeah. Well, that is a different price range. 1,000 less is.
Oh, okay.
I'm not talking about the same price. I'm talking about a totally different price.
Right. So what I'm doing is I'm running this right now with Mitch Rob out and seeing if it makes any real difference. It's got all kinds of issues going on you don't want to know about.
Can I say one thing that I'm doing tonight that I really want to do and that I don't think I need you to play both these guys in the same lineup on FanDuel, but I'm definitely considering. Well, I want the Lakers Charlotte stack. It really is easy to do on FanDuel, but who's not going to be popular is the guy who has all the narrative in the world in his favor and the best type of matchup for his type of play. The Lakers have been sloppy. They play fast, and you have a guy who is willing to take all the shots. It is a back-to-back, and he did have a game in LA last night too. He didn't shoot the ball well, but he put up 19 shots, and that's LaMelo Ball. I feel is getting a little bit overlooked tonight as a legitimate option, and I don't play all that much LaMelo Ball compared to some of the rest of the industry. So when I say to play him, I'm not saying I'm always going to be right, but I'm saying maybe if you're just tuning in, that you probably raise some oh, that's interesting. Bobby likes Melo and he never likes Melo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like Melo in general. I just feel like his price is so high with his minutes. But this is the kind of game that just screams it could be LaMelo Ball. Also, it fits in with my Lakers and Charlotte stack, where I think guys like you're going to have Rozier at 1,000,000% owned on FanDuel. You're going to have, and we certainly know that he's got a bust range in his out.
He always does. Yeah.
Gordon Hayward, you've got is a really cheap price. You've got a good price on DraftKings for Mikal Bridges, who's going to not for Mikal Bridges, for Miles Bridges. You have a good price on Mikal Bridges too, for that matter. But it's a separate point that I was trying to make. I just think that there's some merit to playing those guys. Do I need to get so creative and play? I mean, Trae Young is cheaper than him. The truth is, though, on the season they're averaging basically the same amount of points on FanDuel, and they both have good matchups, but LaMelo has the nut matchup for himself, and he could end up with like 6 or 7 stocks, steals and blocks in this game, which is going to just put his floor really high. And I think that the Lakers have been really sloppy. Westbrook has been really sloppy, and that's who he's going up against, and he has a size advantage over anybody they're going to try and put on him. There's a lot of things to like about Melo tonight. Yeah,
I just like. And my trepidation is what you highlighted, is that they they just seem to be pretty balanced.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
No, they do. But
that's why he's going to be 2% on. I mean, that's why.
Exactly. Yeah. And at the same time, even with that balance, he's not like his average on the season. He's averaging 41 fantasy points a game on FanDuel. He's 8,700. Now that's not quite the exact price you want to be at. But meanwhile, everybody wants to play De'Aaron Fox, who's averaging 33 fantasy points, and he's 7,400. That's basically the same exact number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this matchup is pure. It's perfect for him. I also like, other game names we mentioned earlier. I like Zach LaVine a lot. When I started thinking more about the actual individual matchups and the fact that they're probably going to put Brown on a combination of Brown on him sometimes, but the other guy you're going to have on him is Harden or Joe Harris. Otherwise, that guy's going to be guarding DeRozan. So one of LaVine or DeRozan should have a big night against Brooklyn here. And if it's not them, it's going to be Vooch. I would expect one of those Chicago guys to have a nice night, but I like LaVine the best, which I didn't initially.
Are you getting to any of the Brooklyn studs?
No. If I was playing more on DraftKings, I would have added a little bit of Durant, I think. I wasn't going to play Westbrook on DraftKings for what it's worth in my main lineup. He's totally great play, fine, all that stuff. I think there's other routes to go when someone's going to be. Well, the truth is, actually, I keep thinking that, but then he's not going to be as owned as people think on DraftKings. I think everybody's acting like Davis and Westbrook are just going to be plugged in. I don't think that's the case. On FanDuel, that is going to be the case, and it's a much better play because they're the price on Westbrook over there.
So the other guy who's continuing to show up in my builds, even going back from the earlier builds, was Jordan Poole.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to stick with that.
On DraftKings or FanDuel?
DraftKings.
I think he's much better play on DraftKings for an incredible number of reasons. Mainly because he's a shooter and all that stuff. He's more expensive. There's better plays at the position. There's tons of value at shooting guard and point guard on DraftKings, on FanDuel. I mean, So I would say that if you're playing him, you'd want to play him more on DraftKings.
And
Which I
the other thing I wanted to bring up was a guy who you brought up earlier when I was talking about the Denver value. And you mentioned a guy who, at first look, I didn't get to him, and now I'm getting to him. I'm getting I'm getting 15%, including my biggest buy-in. And fortunately, hopefully for ownership, he still has a Q tag, even though he's probable, and that would be Monty Morris.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm getting out of that Denver game is Monty Morris, actually.
I like Monty Morris, and I love that he'll be completely unowned on FanDuel. I'm actually flirting with the idea of using him in my main lineup, but I don't think I'm going to end up pulling the trigger on it. But I do like him.
Do FanDuel now in a second, and then I'll tell you what my ownerships are over there. And while we're here, I mean, I have to go at right at 7. You want to give any of your takes on the football?
Both defenses. If Mooney's out, it opens up sort of other receivers for Chicago. If Mooney's in, I would side with Mooney as my favorite Chicago target receiver. I would probably consider playing both quarterbacks because of the rushing upside. But I still look at the defenses, and my captain was going to be on DraftKings until I told him I wasn't going to play anything on the site until they fix this. My main captain was going to be Deontay Johnson or Najee Harris, which is not anything earth-shattering. I like both defenses, though.
I actually, I was building some, and I love building the lineups with the randomizer optimizers for these things. You know what I mean? Because it just telling you the way I build my lines is if it even looks remotely logical to me, it just has no chance. So I have a couple of lineups with actually one or two with defenses cap.
Yeah, the Bears defense is really cheap too, but it is. I mean, we saw it yesterday, Sheets. By the way, if we could have played like 6 defenses yesterday, that would have been crazy. You know what I mean? Like you had a bunch of defenses scoring 17, 18 points, and a bunch of players scoring 6. Like
right,
a crazy slate. So why not just one more night of weirdness?
Well, I did DraftKings. What am I doing?
I'm gonna run away for 1 second. I'll be back in just a second.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm changing my FanDuel lineups, and then as I was doing that, I pulled up my DraftKings football lineups because we started talking about football. That's really funny. So I'm just changing my FanDuel lineups, and I'll show you what I have. One thing I do have, which is probably not optimal, I do have some lineups with both Minsky and McGee, which you wouldn't think would be ideal, but that's where I am right now. Then we'll just, we will overweight these things in the single entries. Let's do that. Now I'll just let you guys know what my exposures are over there. Okay, so for me, my FanDuel exposures, I actually have 100 of both those dudes, of both Drummond and Kaminsky. And then
go ahead.
On FanDuel, I'm talking about now. I have, I'm getting some of again. I'm getting some at Michael Bridges again.
Yeah,
I guess I'm always just going to get him because he's always a median projection, guy.
He's real. He's legitimately a real. Oh, Mikal Bridges. Oh, I think.
Yeah.
But I like both of them tonight for what it's worth.
And I'm kind of happy. I do have a bunch of lineups with both AD and Westbrook in them.
Oh, nice. Okay. So Timothy Features asking where he can find the sheets for tonight. They're in the same place as always, right? Anything different?
Yeah. And one of the things that I have to we have to go over with Evan when we speak to him is a better way to, as I'm looking at it from a user, like how I would even find it. Like I'm here, I would go, I guess, into NBA, and I'd have to find the sheets. They're somewhere. I guess I gotta like scroll a little bit this way to find them.
Yeah, we need to make it clear. I'll put that on the home screen. We have that call tomorrow.
Yeah, I gotta get all the way to the third page here before I could see.
Yeah, that's a mistake on our part. We'll fix that.
Yeah, and I know where that comes from too. And I even see them like, look at that. They're like dated June 14, 2021, even though it's November 8th updated. I think that's the reason why is because when I originally created the sheet, that's the original creation of the sheet is June 24th. Okay, so let's make I want to make a note of that to go over with them when we speak. So yeah, it is sometimes a little bit difficult to get to, and that's something that we're continuing to work on.
Mm-hmm.
So I have in my big FanDuel lineup is I have Mr. Lonzo in that one.
You have Lonzo, not LaMelo, huh?
That's correct.
Interesting. What's Lonzo's price over here?
At 5,900.
Oh, that's really cheap. Yeah, I like that play. I actually had him on DraftKings in one of my 88s before
Okay.
and he was 68 over there, so that obviously means I like him at 59. And by the way, you could play both Ball brothers and get the ultimate stock upside. They could combine for 10 of them. That'll get you 30 free points, and then they have a normal game the other way, and boom, you're looking at 40s and 50s, and maybe even higher.
Yeah, I'm kind of liking this FanDuel lineup because even though I have Kaminsky and Drummond, I think Lonzo probably popped. I got three of them. I have the lineup with Davis, Westbrook, and Luka.
Davis, Westbrook, Luka. Yeah.
You can do it trivially easily. By the way.
Yeah, you could definitely do it. I don't like, to answer the other question, I don't like Kristaps as much as I did earlier in the day because this other value opening up at that position on DraftKings has sort of made me have less interest. I was willing to speculate on Reed. I know he's going to have some ownership, but I like that low cost play. You've got Kaminsky, obviously, who's forward eligible, and you could go double center with Adams and Drummond. So I just found less of a need to try to get to it. I still like Porzingis in general. I'll find spots to play him. This is probably not going to be one of them for me tonight. It is a great matchup for him individually, but who knows exactly what he'll be like too. Coming back and everything. A bunch of these real life good players are showing up as good value plays on FanDuel, and it's hard. I love Caruso as a real life player. I love Mikal Bridges. I love PJ Dozier as real life players. But those guys are showing up as the best values of anybody at the point the 1 through 3 positions, and that feels a little bit, I won't say fishy, but maybe just a little bit like I wouldn't want to play all of those guys together unless I was playing a cash game lineup or something.
How much Luka? Actually, I say how much you don't really play in DraftKings. Luka, to be just the perfect time for Luka to just go off.
Mm-hmm.
Just no one's quite expecting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Great matchup. A little bit of blowout risk there.
Yeah.
Still don't know about Ingram.
Oh, really?
I mean, he's still listed as questionable. All right. Any other questions? Let's see what we got here. Favorite small forwards, guys. Please say sites, and I do think Melton. No, let's see, Melton on FanDuel. I'm just going through my builds right now, and Melton is completely viable as a pivot off of that other maybe semi-fishy-ish chalk. So I love that play. I would just say I think Melton is, and he's got a tremendous ceiling, but you can't be mad if he gets you 10 or 15 fantasy points because that is definitely in the realm of possibility. But he has the upside to get you 40. And those other guys like Caruso getting 40 is so much less likely. Tim Hardaway Jr. getting 40 is much less likely. Terry Rozier is probably the only other one who's as likely, but he's going to be popular. But maybe you play those two guys. I kind of like that play a lot, Canine Bronco. But again, it comes with the buyer beware. There is definitely a nothing path for him, but it is a great matchup, and he's got a ceiling.
You know what? Just to be real, I'm actually going to put in. I never do this. I'm going to be playing a little bit of cash.
Whoa!
With using the exact optimal from the Evan.
Oh yeah, let's try it out.
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
I love it.
And I'll let you know how it goes. I have no idea how to pick these tournaments. I'm just scrolling down a bunch of these double ups. Yeah, a bunch of double ups.
Carnes is asking about Heald and Halliburton. I'm going to say that I don't particularly find that as viable today. It's not my favorite spot, but I do like that game environment. So maybe if you're looking for a run back, using one of those guys makes sense. And then again, Christopher, just remind us what site you're talking about when you say small forwards, because that's a big difference on the sites. I mean, it does feel weird because it's a back-to-back, and I've always, ever since the horrible injury to happen to Hayward, it feels kind of. I mean, he played 37 minutes last night, but he's 6,100 on FanDuel, and I mean, I can't emphasize enough how the Lakers are like the not matchup to play against right now.
I just want to try something. And I do want to go over football because I have a couple of.
Oh yeah, say your football stuff.
A couple of hoodoos here. Let's see. Maybe not hoodoos, but
we should know pretty soon about Mooney.
What was he like a true game time?
By the way, D'Angelo Russell is in, which I initially thought he was going to be, but then there was some buzz that he was not going to be. The Sixers are starting Maxey, Curry, Green, Korkmaz, and Drummond. So that knocks down Paul Reed a good bit. Danny Green being back probably hurts Paul Reed too, because he'll play a lot of minutes.
So Paul Reed is
not a bad play, just not as good of a play as if he were starting. But you get lower ownership on him now.
Yeah. And I got a decent amount of him on DraftKings, so I should probably take that out, or at least take some of it out.
Yeah.
Well, I will have you know, by the way, that what I just did, by the way, Bobby, is I took my projections, the same one I did with using Evans Optimizer, and I inputted them into SaberSim. Or I could have done Rotographs, whatever, and I set it to just put the optimal lineup out, and it turned out to be the same one. So the optimizer actually works.
Hey, there we go. Love it.
Yep, the coding actually works. So that's
love to hear it.
That's strong. Let me see how much Paul Reed I have here. If it's like less than 20%, I'll probably just keep it. Oh, I have much less than 20%. Okay, fine.
Do you know who I may play in my main lineup on FanDuel today, and it makes me feel really sick about it? Is the guy who I said I've sort of sworn off this year. Used to be one of my favorite guys to always play, but he's been over-owned on every single slate this year, and this will be the same if he doesn't get there again. But that's De'Aaron Fox. Just because I have 2 to 3 Suns players in my lineups, and I'm trying to decide whether I want to go Fox.
I have 53% Jordan Poole.
On DraftKings.
Yes.
I had like 75, so I'm.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, all right. I haven't lost my mind. Okay.
No. But as always happens with Poole, it's going to depend on how he shoots the ball.
That's fine. That's okay.
He was going to be.
What about Niang?
I like that play. It's a little pricey. It's maybe a little bit of a reach, but I think it's viable enough. He does enough while he's out there. I like Korkmaz. I like that. I want the creators though. I like Korkmaz. I'd be trying to play Korkmaz and Milton and even a little Maxey, instead of a guy like Niang usually. But he's viable.
Yeah.
I was considering him more where I was going to maybe fade Drummond. I was like, maybe I could play Niang and fade Drummond. If I could get the balls to do it, I didn't quite have the balls to do it though.
Let me tell you what I have in NFL.
Okay.
I have as far as my ownership goes. So wait, so we're still waiting on Mooney, right?
Yeah.
Like right now. So the lack of conversation where he's available. So right now I have like 50% of him, of Mooney. I have 100 of Harris.
Yeah.
Um,
Claypool and Deontay Johnson. You really always have to play a Steeler receiver, in my opinion, on these things. They just get too many targets.
Yeah.
But Harris is sort of like that too. He's sort of a receiver also.
And I'll tell you something else, by the way. So here are my two like big time exposures, I think. And the second one scares me. So the first one, this doesn't scare me too much. I have a heaping amount of Zach Gentry. He's like my cheaper guy.
Okay.
He's 2,700. But then the guys I have I never play this much. I have both these kickers like all over the goddamn place.
I think it's not a bad night for it, man.
Okay.
You have teams that struggle scoring touchdowns.
And you know why I end up, and this is why I have, the reason why I have this Gentry and these kickers and some defense is because there are no real cheapos that you know what I mean? Like I always can find like that $400 guy to like waste all my money on, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even have anybody like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I end up getting down to the kickers and such.
Right.
Oh, there it is. There's the one with the Bears defense and the captain. How about that? Oh, dude, I got one 3. This is great. So you know what I do have one. I don't know why I came up with this. I have one sub 1K guy. He's in a total of one lineup, and he's in the captain.
Who is it?
So I'll just tell you the rest of the lineup. This gets you Harris, Deontay Johnson, Claypool, Roethlisberger, and Mooney on the other side. And it gives you a $300 captain of Jimmy Graham. Give me one end zone look from the 2-yard line.
Why not?
He was activated from the reserve COVID list on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna be the one. Cole Kmet. It's gonna be the return of Jimmy Graham at 300. That's what it's gonna be.
God, I can't believe I'm gonna play Fox tonight. What the hell?
Matter of fact, just because I'm gonna add another couple of lineups and force him in. Dude, I'm telling you, I think this is sneaky. He wasn't playing. He was off. He was on the COVID list, and now he's back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Go for it.
I'm gonna do it.
I'm hardly ever gonna say anything's wrong in Showdown.
That's right. That's right.
Nothing could be that wrong.
That's right. God damn it. Unable to generate any lineups. What are you talking about? They don't even want me to play them. That's what happens.
All right, I'm doing it. Freaking hell. I can't believe I'm playing the Hayward thing.
The Hayward thing?
Hayward and Caruso are both in my main lineup on FanDuel right now. But I mean, I can always change the Hayward. It's not like he has to stay there. And Fox too. I have tons of late swap. I mean, I don't have hardly anybody except for the obvious chalk in the first games. And same goes for Dozier as well, which is also a later game.
5 lineups. Couldn't generate any lineups. Now I'm mad. Jimmy Graham. Can I build anything with Jimmy Graham?
All right. Any other questions? Let's see. No, I'm going to do something different.
No, I'm really mad. Now, Saberson doesn't even want me to build any lines with Jimmy Graham. That's how bad they think it is as a play. So now I'm even more determined. If they don't like it, I'll go to Roto Grinders. Let them build me one. I just want to see what it is. Showdown. That's what we're going to do. We're going to just upload my own.
So I'll give another play away on FanDuel that I think is kind of a clever one. I think Josh Hart, if we think, we don't know about what's his name playing yet. And first of all, Josh Hart can get there anyway. But in this type of game, I mean, he played 30 minutes in that game that they got just absolutely throttled in. You'd think this would be where they bring Ingram back, but if they don't bring Ingram back, hard not to have like a little bit of interest in Josh Hart for me. But I'm going to need to check on that one.
I want to add him. Now we're going to go back and I'm going to build one. Okay.
Is Josh Hart going to be owned at all?
That's what we're going to do. There you go. Graham. Boom. Boom. Excellent.
Let's talk real quick because I'm doing the Josh Hart thing, but if Ingram's back, I'm going to switch that into either Tim Hardaway Jr. or Mikal Bridges. I prefer Tim Hardaway Jr. because I have a lot of Suns already, and Mikal Bridges, as I already said, it's a great matchup for Mikal Bridges. You couldn't have a better matchup for him. But we've seen this before with him, and he's done absolutely nothing in any game this year that's been viable for a tournament.
Who?
Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
Mikal. So I'm using Hart, but I will switch to those guys if I find out that Ingram's in. So I'm going to set an alarm for myself and make sure to check on that.
I'm going to make sure that Mooney's playing, but this looks good.
And the game with Dallas is at what time? It's at 5:30.
Dude, what a freaking, I'm telling you, this is such an awesome onslaught play, too. I'm going to play like 5 freaking Steelers, including the defense, and I'll contribute $200 worth of Jimmy Graham to the Bears exposure.
No, why not? Any Johnny Collins on DK if he's in? No interest in John Collins at all for me. Always could put up a ceiling. Nothing about this situation with everybody playing for Atlanta. There's really not a tick up for anybody, and he's not mispriced either. He's priced right. Wiggins is 5,500 on FanDuel. That's true. Don't know what we're supposed to do with it necessarily, but that is true. I'm telling you, the Golden State thing, this strength in numbers thing, has gotten me off of these guys. And Wiggins is going to be owned too. So Wiggins is a guy who is 5,500 and has put up over 30 fantasy points in 2 out of 10 games this year. So that's just keep that in mind. And not only that, he's been putting up what did he put up? He put up 19 in the last game, 18 in the previous game, 24, 20, 26, had the 141 game, 21. He's not putting up numbers that you would want. And he's going to have ownership. So why not play Josh Hart, who won't have ownership? And if Ingram's out, people might be, well, I guess they can still swap over to him, so they'll probably still be able to play him. But I think if Ingram's out, Josh Hart is a really interesting play. I'm a little worried about the blowout every time New Orleans steps on the court, though. But Dallas is not overly impressed by Dallas so much.
All right, so I'm glad that it's 7 because I'm glad it's close to 7 because I have to put all this away so that I can go have dinner and not worry about playing more Jimmy Graham.
You're really into this. Maybe you shouldn't just be playing. Maybe you should have locked him in, Sheets.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is the play.
Best play between Korkmaz, Milton, and Maxey. Good question, X Factor. For me, I would side the heaviest with Korkmaz and Milton, but I like Maxey. The only issue is like Maxey, then are you also going to play Jordan Poole in the same lineup? Because I prefer Poole over Maxey. And Milton has been so active when he's been in there. And Korkmaz is always active and does everything and sort of can play all positions. So his minutes feel pretty secure to me. Whereas Shake could lose some run. I'm sorry, not Shake. Maxey could lose some run to Shake. I think Maxey's a really good player, but he's like I don't know. For some reason, I didn't quite get to him ahead of the other guys today. I think it's close between all those guys. It's a really good question. He's also going to be the lowest owned, so depending on how the rest of your lineup looks, maybe you do want to play him for that reason. But I'll say again, he's 5,900, and we've seen the situation, and it's not like when Drummond came in. I mean, he played a ton of minutes. I mean, the one thing is he hasn't really lost minutes, but he's lost usage to these guys. When Shake plays, Shake takes up a lot of that usage that Maxey would normally get. I mean, Maxey hasn't been over, even in the game that Embiid was out last. He had a 15% usage rate in that game.
Right.
That's kind of scary a little bit. Whereas you go to Shake Milton, and he had a usage rate of only 16 in the last game, but he had 21 the game before that, and 21 the game that we had no, and 24 the game we had no Drummond. And he's cheaper. I'm sorry, the game we had no Embiid. That's what I'm sort of letting be my deciding factor there.
Right.
And by the way, people don't realize about Korkmaz. Korkmaz has a higher usage rate than either of these guys do.
I have I think I have a decent amount of Korkmaz.
Mm-hmm.
That being I did. Oh yeah, I do. I have. No, I did. No, I don't have it anymore. It's a little annoying. Got a lot of Jaren Jackson Jr. I got that.
It feels really strange to me that no one's going to play JaVale McGee.
You're not?
I'm only playing on FanDuel.
Yeah, I got 25% of him.
Okay, I like it. See, so you're playing him separate than Kaminsky, I'm guessing.
I have a couple with them both, actually.
Interesting.
But most of them without.
I mean, they could play together. It's just not. The truth is, they don't really need either of them, because it's not like Holmes is the guy you need to necessarily match up with. You can slide over, Jay Crowder for minutes to guard a guy like that or whatever, and then you have everybody crash the rebounds. Bridges, Cam Johnson. Boy, Cam Johnson has really not had the jump that like a lot of us were sort of hoping and expecting he might.
Yeah.
I mean, that is something you could do though to get different. In fact, in my long shot tournament, I'm going to just switch PJ Dozier for Cam Johnson. I'm
going to keep an eye on that one. That's 9:00. I want to keep an eye on how things are going to see what I want to do about that Denver stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do too. I'm not making a lot of those decisions yet. I can always adjust to it, and it's like I don't have anybody in the early games. I'm actually not playing that many guys in the early games. So if the Philly guys go off early, I'm just going to take complete upside and try and get different that way.
All right, I'm going to get going. This is Sheets has rung the dinner bell.
Okay.
So I'm going to go do that, and wish everybody luck tonight. And that should do it.
Good luck. I hope you guys win all the money on DraftKings and save a little on FanDuel for me. That's all I ask.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Good luck, everybody.
I'll see you later.